Okay, so now I've gotten my mom's Ford Escape Hybrid running. As you can see, there's a big Ford Escape Hybrid sized hole in the driveway. Now to shift my attention to my dad's Volvo 940 Turbo. I'm pretty sure it's a 91, and it actually used to belong to my neighbor over there. My dad bought it from him for like 500 bucks about a few months ago. Was told it had an overheating issue, which is why he parked it. So, when we did try to start it, it ended up pissing fuel from the rear. So I'm gonna guess I'm going to check the fuel system. I'm going to approach this car in the whole like what does it need to run phases and then troubleshoot whatever's wrong with it later on. More than likely it's probably going to be fuel lines or something of that nature. So for step one is going to be to clean this area out or move the car actually. Maybe I should just move the car over here. So this right here is actual Volvo under the hood. But there's a couple things that make me quite worried when I look at this engine. Right? Number one being that little oil leak right there going down the side of the block. Now it is a red block motor, which is pretty well known for being insanely reliable, but at the same time that leak looks like it's coming between the mating surface of the head and the block. And also the valve guard gasket looks like it's caked in oil too, but that's not too big a deal. On the other hand, everything does seem like it's really easy to get to. I don't think replacing a head gasket on this car should be too hard, although I really hope it's not. You can see the little turbo right there. Worst case scenario, it looks like I'll have to pull the intake manifold off, pull the head out, do timing, water pump, and head gasket. Worst case scenario. But for now, my main goal is to get out of this spot. Since I cleaned the driveway, I got some space, move it around right over here, and park it right there, exactly where the Escape was. Okay, so here's the Volvo in the air. Time to get started. There's still a fuel smell, so that fuel leak is quite bad. I'm just trying to figure out what is causing it, per se. I love this old Volvo key. So assuming it'll work. Will it work? There it goes. So, I'm gonna go underneath, drop the tank, and figure out what the hell is going on with this car. Now, one thing is, I did try to find online videos on how to get the tank out of this car. Surprisingly, not much help on that front. Let's see, probably pull all this stuff out too, because you should be able to get to the fuel pump for this car from the trunk, but from what I can tell, either one of the fuel lines is blown out or something of that nature has happened to this car. So that is going to make it infinitely more difficult for me to figure out what's going on. Also, my trunk this trunk of this car is quite a bit different than the ones I've seen online. So, I'm guessing the best way to start this is by checking this access panel right here. It looks like it's going to be 4 10mm bolts. I'll pull those bolts out and see what is in there. If I can avoid dropping the tank, that'd be nice. Okay, so that's the fuel pump access right there. So I'm hoping that's where the leak is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the battery to the car and see if fuel leaks everywhere. Seems like a good plan, right? What I'm about to do probably falls under the category of really stupid. I need more information about this leak. So normally I don't like to split up footage, but in the trunk of the car it's a little hard to get the camera in. I'm about 99% sure that this is the cause of my fuel leak right here. Oh, what the hell? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little hose out and go to AutoZone, get a new one. You can see it's completely degraded over the years. So hose clamp here and another hose clamp down over there. I'll pull them out and see what I can do. I might have this car running by the end of the day today. Okay, so I think this is the source of the fuel. You can see this fuel line is really badly torn. And Steven can, right here, can... No?
What?
Okay.
Huh?
You're going to test that this is a leak.
Why am I going to test it?
A test.
There's a test?
No, a test.
I didn't test for that.
No. A test, like, confirm.
You're confirmed.
Okay, let's put everything in and get some food and go get some new fuel line. Okay, it's now been a few hours. Night has fallen and such. And I went to Napa, got the wrong size fuel line. Ended up getting a half-inch fuel line, which is 12.5 millimeters in diameter. But the car does recommend a 12 millimeter fuel line. For now, I'm gonna put this one in here just so I can get it running. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna use the fuel pump to drain the fuel tank. So I got 1 foot of half-an-inch fuel line coming down to that funnel, which is gonna go down to this drain pan. And hopefully I can just use the fuel pump to drain the fuel tank. Hopefully. Let's do that.
It doesn't have like one of those like prime fuel pump settings?
I don't think it does.
Where you leave it on?
I don't think it does. Yeah. Oh, just turn the key back and forth?
Yeah, on, yeah.
Yeah! So, would you like to explain them or should I?
Explain.
So, while Steven puts the gas in the car, we had to get a little bit creative with the fuel line setup. So, turns out that is definitely not how it's supposed to be. Our car had a little bit of patchwork repairs done to it, and they use a straight 3/8 plumbing barb fitting. We ended up getting new half-an-inch fuel line. You were supposed to use 12 millimeter fuel line, and basically patched it together using a half-inch brass elbow from Lowe's, half-inch fuel line from Napa, and hopefully we should no longer have a leak. So we got some seafoam and 3 gallons of gas. Already drained out all the bad gas in there. So in theory, this thing might run. And there goes the last gallon right there being poured in by Senior Steven. Or Mr. Steven? Which one do you prefer?
We'll debate in later videos.
God damn. Honestly, I thought this was diesel for a second when I saw the green cap.
I mean, you assume it is, yeah. Watch it be an actual diesel car, which has been fucking up the whole time.
I mean, I saw spark plugs in an ignition coil, so we should be good. But actually, that would explain why the gas came out really oily too.
Maybe we're not as smart as we thought.
God damn. Okay. Let's do this.
Alright. Is it recording?
Yeah, it's already recording.
Alright.
You think it'll start?
I'll take a little start. Give it a shot. No leaks to it.
No leaks.
Not so far.
Wanna keep going?
Yeah. It's gonna start, it just needs some time.
Smell any fuel coming out of here?
No, nothing.
It's not even sounding like it's sparking, so it still might not be getting enough fuel.
Yeah.
Maybe the pump is weak?
I don't think so.
So it's been about 4 days since the last little clip that you just saw. We weren't able to get the car started. We tried we tried running it off just the fuel pump. Did not work. So we ended up actually taking the little intercooler piping off and squirting some starting fluid into this thing, and it fired up for a bit. So that leads me to still believe that the issue is still fuel related. So I bought a fuel pressure tester, which is not this guy right here, and I'm gonna pop it on there to see what's going on. So this Volvo is actually a really interesting fuel system, right? It's got a feeder tank or feeder pump in the tank, along with another main pump that's close to the frame rail. So I'm gonna use the pressure tester to see if I have no fuel pressure, weak fuel pressure, and go from there. I also bought the fuel filter, like the actual Bosch unit made in China, and I'm going to be popping that on. So I've been poking around the engine bay, and I've noticed that these like hoses are literally disintegrating by just me touching them. So more than likely they're going to have to be replaced. This one actually says Volvo on it, so that might be a 1990s hose right there. So I'm probably going to go buy some vacuum line and pop it on there real quick. Because yeah, this stuff is not that strong and could also be a cause. Maybe like there's some massive vacuum leak that's causing it to not run. But step one is to pop the fuel pressure tester on there and go from there. Okay, so right now I'm trying to figure out how to properly pressure test this motor, and it's a little confusing. So I believe that this is the port I'm supposed to use to do the fuel pressure test on the rail, but it actually is connected to a secondary line that goes down there. Normally there's supposed to be like a Schrader valve that's very nice and easy to see. I don't see it. I think this might be it. I've seen it on some of the forums. So what I'm going to try to do is take this off and put the fuel pressure gauge right there. But at the same time, I have no idea where this line goes. So we'll see. Okay, so real quick, let me just show you what it took to put the fuel pressure gauge on here, because I tried finding it on YouTube and I really couldn't. This is the Schrader valve right back here between, I think, cylinders 3 and 4. So I had to use a 7mm adapter right here that was included in my fuel pressure tester kit. And then there is a right angle T-joint, and then it goes into the fuel pressure test. So 2 adapters, and then fuel pressure gauge right here. So not too simple, but definitely not too bad. My dumbass tried to take this thing off last night in the dark and the cold to try and test it because I couldn't find the Schrader valve. I didn't realize it was just right back here, and I wasn't looking hard enough. I was expecting it to be on the ends of the injector rail. Oh well. So now, since the car doesn't start, I'm going to try cranking it, then to bleed this guy out right here, and then crank it again to see if I can actually get any fuel pressure. If my fuel pressure is still 0 or low, then I know for a fact that either the fuel pump has failed, fuel filter's clogged, or something of that nature. I'm hoping it's not the fuel pump because, as you saw earlier, the car was pissing fuel. So maybe it's the fuel filter, which I already have. So I tried the whole fuel pressure test thing. It is still reading at 0. So yeah. I'm pretty sure there's definitely nothing coming to this fuel rail. I tried bleeding this thing out by using this little purge button, tried cranking it multiple times. There's definitely nothing coming to this fuel rail, which sucks. So there's 2 different things I need to do right now. 1 is to check to see if I have power going to the pump, and 2 is to replace the filter. If I replace the filter and I get fuel pressure, yay, win. If I don't, then I gotta check the power going to the pump and go from there. The reason I'm replacing the fuel filter first is because I already have it. Okay, so right there you will see the actual fuel pump, or at least the inline pump, right, and the fuel filter. So I took off the pump to inline filter little bolt right there, and I had to use the impact to do it. Now using the impact to do it, well, there's 3 different problems going on. 1, there's a bolt missing to this cage, which isn't a big deal. I can get another bolt, no problem. The bushings that mount this cage in place are all dry rotted, and I'll need to replace those. And also the little crossover hose that goes from the inline fuel pump to the fuel filter is done with life. It just said nope and gave up. So yeah, it just snapped right off. You can see the hose is no longer going to be hosing anytime soon. Luckily I can get this and the 3 bushings from SCP Hero for like 60 bucks. It's less than ideal. I'd actually like to go to AutoZone and see what's going on, if I can get another one. But for now, since I can't put the hose on, what I'm going to do is put the battery back on the car and see if there's fuel coming out of this pump. Since the actual hose to pump thing is no longer working, if this pump works, then it should be pumping a good amount of fuel out of here. And then I know my restriction is in the actual filter itself. So time to take the battery off the charger, throw it in the car, and see what's going on. So it looks like there is no fuel coming out of that pump. So let's see. It's either going to be an electrical issue or a bad fuel pump. So the next step is going to be to find the plug for this fuel pump, check to see if there's power, and go from there. Okay, so there's a little bit of fuel starting to drip underneath, so that would make sense if it kind of like continues my theory of me thinking that the main feeder pump in the tank works, but the inline pump doesn't. Okay, so this little Volvo project has actually spanned like 3 seasons. It's been about maybe 4 months since the last video that I recorded, and I ended up doing a few different things. Number one is the new fuel pump is installed, along with the new grommet, new bushings and all of that. You can see it right there. I ended up painting the cage red. It's got a new fuel pump right there, a new filter right there. All the rubber grommets are replaced, and the bolts are in. Not tightened down all the way, obviously, but it will be. You can see it's got a couple little leaks right there, but I'm gonna sort all of that stuff out, and all of that has culminated in this. I hope it starts for the video. Wrong key, right key, right key. And yeah, the seat is out because my dad wants to reupholster this car and do like a white interior with it, with the black highlight up there. So here, oh, batteries. Now you can hear the pump actually go. Oh. So the car does run now, but it does die after a few seconds. You can hear it running right there. So what I'm thinking is a fuel leak. There's 2 different spots that could be the problem, right? That one fuel leak here, you see a tiny little drip right there. And also, if you remember, in the trunk, there's that like ghetto rig fuel line. That could also be causing the problem. But I'm pretty sure this video's got to be at least 20 minutes by now. Pretty sure no one wants to watch a 20-minute video. Dude, I look so different from the beginning of the video too. But yeah, it runs. That's progress in one way. New pump is in. I'm gonna order in the correct little feeder tube from SCP Euro. I think it's like $70, and hopefully keep this project going. My dad wants to eventually daily drive this thing, which should be possible. It runs pretty solidly. Probably just needs new motor mounts and some other stuff. There's no smoke coming out of it. Coolant is good. Oil is good. I don't think the head gasket's blown. I'm just gonna put the timing belt and water pump in there, and then we're also gonna replace the radiator and hoses just to make it reliable. Probably do some upgrades to make sure the AC is working well, because right now it's 106 degrees. It's gonna be 114 next week, I think. So it's time to call it. But overall, the car runs. I moved it in the right direction. Just took a new fuel pump, some new fittings, fuel line, some other stuff. But yeah, it's definitely better than when it started off, and I'm proud of that. It has a really nice door thread. Anyway, if you like this video, hit subscribe, because I'm going to be doing a lot more work on this old 940. The drift car is coming along. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, I'm also getting the parts in for the Honda soon, so that's getting a distributor. Hopefully that should be running soon and sold. This VT Focus is going to be coming to this house, taking the spot where the Honda is. Pull the motor on that thing, rebuild the motor on the Focus, because I blew the head gasket on it like 20 minutes after recording the video of me getting it running. And that's about it. Have a good one, guys. Do whatever else you do on the internet. I'm happy. Progress is progress.